Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Member Spotlight by Anad Muslim Chamber of Business. Welcome, Tim and Ihssane. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much, Kashif.
Would love to hear from you guys how your journeys of how you got to where you are today.
Sure. Ihssane, would you like to start?
Oh, that's okay. Go ahead.
Of course. So, Kashif, I started out in a transit household. My father was the head of rail in the 1980s for the Massachusetts Bay Transit Authority under Mike Dukakis. I spent an awful lot of time on the trains and the buses when I was a kid. Ended up working with transit data with my father as a teenager. Ended up in banks from there, and then back into transit in my 30s. And I really found a passion for all things public transit, and based on all of my technology work that I had done up to that point, saw a real opportunity to help out and make transit better in America. And that's how we got here.
All right. Ihssane, what's your life story?
Well, I am a lover of transit. I love riding buses and trains. I rode buses and trains since I came to the US about 20 years ago from Morocco. I learned the complexities of the New York transit system, the MTA. Then I rode the buses in Philadelphia to take me from home to my job at the Federal Reserve at the time. And then I took the MBTA in Boston to get from Dorchester to my university at Boston University. So I've seen a lot, and I've seen how transit can bring communities together and serve all communities.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I ran for Congress in 2020, I heard a lot of stories from constituents who live in cities like Fall River and Taunton, who are struggling with getting to work on time in Boston. If they miss one bus, or if one bus is late or out of operation, that can cost them a job. It took 2 hours to get from where they are to Boston, and it really. It hit home with me from an equity perspective, an inclusion perspective, but also from the economic development perspective of the cities that they are from. So that lifts in my heart a passion for transit and for building a future for American transit that represents who we are, transit advancement, transit technology, and I couldn't be more proud to have Tim as a partner in this venture.
Yeah, sounds great. So let's dive deeper into the company that you both are running, Vertical Unity, and the product that you have, Transit AI. So if you can share with the audience about what's the purpose, what are you doing with it?
Sure. So Transit AI organically sprouted from work that I was doing starting over a decade ago with the MBTA. When I was brought in, I worked on the transit authority side for the T with several software vendors to modernize their workforce, specifically the scheduling and service planning aspects of the buses and trains, as well as work selection for the operators who operate the vehicles. And what I found there, after years and years of working in banking, specifically integrating systems together, is that the MBTA had so many siloed systems where the data was not talking to each other. And after 4 years of working at the T, spending millions of dollars to update the system, fix a lot of those problems, I started to work with smaller agencies, and I found that the MBTA wasn't unique. In fact, what the MBTA was experiencing is what every single transit authority across the planet, but North America especially, is experiencing. And many of the smaller transit authorities don't have the opportunity at all to modernize in a way that the MBTA did. And we saw a great opportunity to help advance transit, which from a technology perspective had been somewhat stagnant, by really truly integrating these systems and providing a platform where new types of information can be extracted, and using AI to actually sift through a lot of this data to make better actionable decisions on clean data. So that's
Okay.
where it all came from.
All right. So who are your customers who you are providing services to?
Honestly, the customer base is every transit authority in North America. The plan is to be the bridge between all of the different systems in each one of those transit authorities, bringing that data together so that better actionable decisions can be made.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would like to add that there are about 6,800 transit authorities in North America alone. And so the way we're looking at it is sectioning them out based on size. And so an authority's size, it is measured by the number of buses that they have, for example. So we're looking at the medium-sized authorities, which is around 200, 300 buses. We made this choice because the smaller authorities tend to have a lot on their hands, and it becomes, very bureaucratic and difficult to get going with a new project. And the larger authorities need a lot more power to, get all the political relationships, the officials to agree. It's a lot more complex. So we thought, let's go to the medium size, because they have the resources to listen to us, and they're very excited about our products. They understand that we know their pain, we have experts who have lived their pain, and we know how to solve it. And they have the budget to to get in on this. We can speak to that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And on top of that, Kashif, we found that in going to conferences and speaking to general managers, CIOs, and even union officials across the United States, every one of them sees that there's a need for what we're building in the ecosystem for things to move forward with public transit. So there's excitement from both the executive side and the worker side when it comes to transit AI.
Okay. Can you share with the audience about specifically what your product is and how does it help the transportation system?
Sure. So as I had mentioned, the transit software ecosystem is very siloed. You have many different systems that are very good at one specific thing, whether it be your vehicle location systems, your scheduling and service planning systems, your work selection system, fare collection, passenger count. These all sort of exist in a vacuum. And there is an awful lot of money being spent every year by every transit authority to try to make sense of all these disparate data sets. And one of the things that I like to say when I'm talking about the product is, have you ever talked to ChatGPT and you've asked it a question without the right specificity, and GPT gives you back an answer that doesn't quite make sense based on what you were thinking when you ask it the question? And then I show them a slide of what data looks like currently in a transit ecosystem. There's so many different Excel spreadsheets and emails and all kinds of things floating around a transit ecosystem, none of it in a good place. Now try dropping AI and machine learning on top of that mess of communication, and you're not going to get back good answers. So one of the things that is most important about this software is being able to pull all of the data in from those different systems in a unified data structure that AI and machine learning can actually make sense of, so that you can start to come up with better decision making.
All right.
Absolutely. If I may add a little bit to that, and
Please.
Tim gives a great technical explanation. But so I speak with government officials, for example. Government officials, they are very, very interested in transit innovation. And there's always this question of, why is it not happening? Well, it's not happening because there's a bottleneck. What the problem that Tim has described, and the solution that we are building, gets rid of the bottleneck So then we can have transit innovators come in and plug into the existing transit. Then we can say, okay, I can just have accuracy on what time my bus is coming. I can have that bus is going to come at that time. I can plan out a whole trip across the country, right? And I can know I'm going to go from point A to B to C. So that, like, can you think about the economic opportunity that that is going to open in our country? And we can have a competitive point in transportation in general if we want to travel from one place to the other. So this is the product itself is to remove the bottleneck and create this connectivity of transit innovation into our transit system.
Okay. And is it, you mentioned about the buses, so is it limited to the road transportation, or does it also apply to trains?
It applies to the entire system, from soup to nuts. Your buses, your trains, and your para and micro transit, which get people, especially the folks who have infirmities and medical issues, from one door to another. So being able to integrate all those different modes of transportation so that you truly can get people from one place to another safely and effectively.
All right.
Yes, as well as ferries. Some of the transit authorities have ferries
Correct.
as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you have data from all transportation authorities, and then you are bringing all of it together for
Correct.
the layman to make a better decision.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Awesome. That's definitely exciting. We have, yes, because of the owned infrastructure that we have, it's very costly to change that. And when we go overseas, we find much better infrastructure there because they have all new infrastructure, whereas in the US, it's much older. So
Yes.
definitely need to have a product like that.
Yeah, so it is very costly to change that. However, we we've done analysis on where is the money being wasted. About I think an average of $3 million a year per
agency.
average authority is being wasted on trying to solve these technical problems, these data mush and inaccuracies. Also results in hiring third party to fill in the service, which is very expensive. So our pricing model, it doesn't add to the budget of transit authorities, this is very attractive to government officials because, we live in a time where budgets are very tight. We're not getting much money from the federal government at this time for transit. So we're looking for efficiencies in our existing budgets. Where is the waste, and how can we lower that waste and be paid from that, partially from that? So in the net, transit authorities are going to net positive so that they can take that money and invest it in transit innovation. And so we're very proud of how we have modeled our pricing, and think that, once we factor it into our client space and market share, this looks like a very profitable venture.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Sounds good. So just so the viewers or our members know more about you, any interests or hobbies you would like to share with them?
Sure. I mean, in addition to being a transit enthusiast, I enjoy cooking, playing bass guitar, and reading a variety of different types of works and listening to a lot of different music. Ihssane.
Nice.
Well, I like to paint. I like watercolor. It's very relaxing. I like to travel. I enjoyed my my trip with AIM Cobb. That was really fun. I want to, just say thank you again. It was a lovely trip. We met a lot of leaders and got to go to Umrah for the first time. Alhamdulillah, that's been transformational in our lives. But that's what I like to do. I'm a community organizer, and I am, I've advised many startups, and I'm just really excited about this venture as well.
All right. Yeah, I wish you all the best with this venture, and looking forward to seeing you very successful with this.
Inshallah. Thank you so much,
Inshallah.
Kashif. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
having
Kashif.
us.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Ihssane. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.